Inheritance starts out with what exactly?
3 acts.
Because I listened to them all back to back, and I don't really remember where.
I know the ending of Brissinger. Like I finished Brissinger and immediately started Inheritance and finished Inheritance in like 2 days.
Right.
So the ending is a little muddy for me, but I'm gonna try my best.
The ending is muddy?
The ending of Brissinger and the beginning of Inheritance was muddy for me.
Right. Right.
There's typical 3-act structure for Inheritance. Act 1 is taking literally every city but Urbane.
Right.
Because he speed runs those things.
Yeah, because it's kind of like...
That's no longer the focus of the book.
All right, we get it.
And it's good.
They're gonna... Yeah, because...
he does well.
They've already established that the Varden are able to take over cities. They established that in Brissinger.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, we can take over cities. We don't need to focus on that. We need to focus on everything else. So
Act 2 is him going to Vrowengard and dealing with the Rock of Kuthian. And then Act 3 is the assault on Urbane.
Right. Okay, so
we'll go with big moments in Act 1. Act 1, again, begins hard like Brissinger does with the assault on Bellatona.
Yes, and that's the one where they all go underground, right?
No, that's Trasliana.
What's that interesting?
Yes. It's Bellatona first. Like, the book starts with the end of the battle in Bellatona.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just as they were finished drawing everything together. It's also where we learn of the Dolfdert. The spear specifically made to kill dragons.
Right. I did not like that.
It's good.
It's good.
If the elves,
I mean,
it makes sense. It's logical. If the elves
because
were in a war with dragons, they would have made something capable of doing it.
Yes, yeah. I guess. It just starts to get... it doesn't ever reach the point to where it feels like they'll win no matter what.
Yeah.
But this is the beginning. Like, he stops here. Now they have a weapon to kill dragons.
Yeah.
Instead of there having to be this epic battle, they have something that they can pull out. This, which is as far as he goes to give... And it kind of balances out, too, because Galbatorix and his dragon, I forget the name of his dragon. Shrukin, have been alive for centuries.
Yes.
So they're already way more powerful than everybody else.
And he also has all of the Eldunari.
Yeah, all the Eldunari, the dragons he's killed.
So he's massively powerful. So they need something to balance the scales.
Yeah, so they need to start balancing the scales, I guess. I guess when you look at it like that, having this lance, I guess. I thought it was a lance. It was a spear. I thought it was a lance because that dude charged on the horse with it. I thought it was a lance. That's what I thought.
Okay, lances...
Like when they got it from the guy with the sword, the guy on the horse.
Yes. The problem is, it's a spear.
Okay. Well, I was wrong.
Yes.
Anyway, I guess this spear is kind of like balancing out in the slightest way possible because...
It gives them a method to kill Shrukin.
Right, but then again, it doesn't overpower Shrukin because Shrukin is...
It doesn't overpower them because they would still have to get close enough to stab him.
Right.
Yeah. I just think it's a really neat... I love the Dalfdare. I think it's a really neat... it's a really neat callback to a time when things were so vastly different than they are now.
Right.
Like, it does make me want to see what it was like for the war between the elves and the dragons. Because if the elves were making dope weapons like that, what else was going on back then?
Right.
And that's only like one of, I think, 10 or 12 of those weapons.
I thought they said 7.
It's probably 7.
Okay.
There's just so many numbers that occasionally they get muddy for me.
Right.
It's only one of a few of those weapons. And that just makes me wonder, where are the rest of them? What happened?
And they said the rest were lost or destroyed once the pact between the elves and dragons were made.
They assumed that any of the ones that they didn't have were lost, and any of the ones that they did have, they broke.
Right.
Yeah.
So they get this lance back, or this spear back.
Yeah.
And I think Arya's in charge of it.
Yeah, he gives it to Arya so that nobody spying on him finds it, essentially.
Right. They've already joined.
It's Bellatona. It's at Bellatona. At the end
right
of
before this
Bellatona,
fight, right?
After they've done all the stuff with the Dalftert, that the army of the Weircats show up.
Which
And
is
Grimmer
cool.
Halfblood joins the Varden,
Yeah, that's
which is
so cool.
wild.
And his
it's a fun time.
he was all like, we want to have a space, like a cushion by the throne and like liver waiting for us whenever. Like, I thought that was funny. Like, that's very cat-like.
Yeah. Everything about the Weircats is great. I love every second of it. They're so much fun.
There's like a history between Half-Paw and Angela or something or other. Which they just keep adding to Angela's lore for some reason.
Yeah,
without
and then it's
giving us a strap. We're starving here.
It's also between Bellatona and Drosleona that we learn more about Angela.
Right.
Because it's where Angela is kicking back and having jokes with a bunch of coal.
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole group of Urgles around a bonfire with Angela.
Like,
and they're
Angela
all,
has
singing
been their
stories.
friend for... Yeah, like, Angela's been their friend for years. Like, they just...
What's it called? It's between Bellatona and Drosleona that Eragon... what's her face? Elaine, Horst's wife, finally gives birth, which has been gearing up since the end of Eragon.
Right, and this child has, like, a cleft lip.
Yes, they've got a cleft palate. And Eragon shows just how far he's come as both a person and a spellcaster by successfully healing the child without ruining their life. Because it's while he's going to do that he passes Elva, and Elva shoots him a sneer, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
What a dick move, Elva.
It's kind of like she was there to remind Eragon, hey, you better get this right. You don't want to mess up again.
Yes.
And so they fix her cleft palate, and then...
Yes.
Which is just... It's really only there to show how much Eragon has grown.
The first act of this book is just to show us how far he has come.
With experience and magic. Because I think he said he went over in his head like 50 times just to make sure. Yeah.
He spends a full 30 minutes just looking at the kid, reviewing every word he can find.
Yeah.
Just setting up the spell
the spell that he gave out was like a paragraph long. Like, it wasn't just a short spell. It was like a...
He did it. Yeah. He also did it in the elf style, in the form of a song.
Singing, which is great.
It's cool, obviously.
It's interesting to show how he is, transforming. Because I think the ancient language is used better in song-ish, like a flow.
Yeah. It also shows just how far he's come as a person, and that he's also able to focus on this spell for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
Because what's her face? The healer from their village falls asleep in the chair while she's knitting because he takes so long trying to fix the child. And everyone in the camp has gathered outside of his tent. And he doesn't realize it just because he's so focused on this task. And then I think to show how far he's come.
If I remember correctly, Katrina and Roran are trying to get married very shortly after, right?
That's Brissinger. It's during their wedding that the ship with 100 of the laughing.
That's right. The 100 show up, and then they get married after that. Anyway, despite.
It was the middle of their wedding ceremony where Murtagh shows up, and then they get married after anyways.
Come on, Murtagh just wanted to show his support. Eragon's family is my family.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Half family. Anyways. And then we move to Drosleona.
Yeah,
which is where
that's where they go underground.
Real. Yes. They go...
Drosleona was visited in Eragon. Which I
been to Drosleona.
By the time we get to Inheritance, it's hard to remember. I'm glad that they call back. Because he says something about it was just when me and Braum were trying to escape last time. I was like, oh yeah.
Eldest is the only book that doesn't visit Drosleona.
Yep.
Him and Braum go there in the beginning, whenever they're hunting the Razak, whenever they get ambushed. In the I don't remember its actual name. I'm remembering Sapphira's version of it, which is Black Shrike Tooth Cave. And they go back to Drosleona so that they can go to Helgrind in the beginning of Brissinger so that they can fight the Razak. and then they come back to it now because the Varden are seeking to take over the city.
Right.
So it's just like a staple of the book series at this point, is that we go back to Dras Leona to deal with stuff.
So Jode was the one who found the underground,
Yes.
right?
Jode works
Dras
his
Leona.
magic a second time and finds a secret tunnel inside.
Right. And so it was him, Arya, Angela.
One of the spellcasters in Solemnbum.
They go underground.
Murtagh is in Dras Leona, so they can't assault it without angering him. So they're going to try and sneak in to open the gates so that they can fight.
Yes,
so
it's
that they can
kinda
get
like
the army inside, so that Eragon
yeah.
and Sapphira can fight Murtagh in the air. Yeah.
The spellcaster dies.
The one spellcaster whose name I don't think we ever actually learned dies.
No, Angela dies, quote unquote.
Yeah.
It seems
They
like
get
she dies. She
ambushed
gets taken
big
away.
time.
Big time by the Hellgrind priests.
By the Laughing Dead and Hellgrind priests.
Yeah,
who are
which
also
is
apparently spellcasters.
Razak worshippers. Razak worshippers, I guess.
Yeah, it's afterwards that they string up Arya and
Eragon and
Eragon
Aaron,
in
yeah.
chains around a bunch of gems that are, we
Razak,
learn
yeah.
later, essentially blocking magic.
Right.
And they explain that that the priests of Hellgrind know they're not worshiping an old god, they know they're worshiping the Razak. And they were trying to keep them alive and bring them back to life. And so they're going to sacrifice him and Arya to the new eggs.
Yeah, and they bring in the eggs.
And then they leave like dopes.
Yeah, and they're like, peace. And then what?
One of the priests...
Like, all hope is lost. Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the priests comes in to save them and then decides
and
not
sucks.
to.
Doesn't do
Yeah,
anything right.
Like the worst. He's
And
like,
then he tries to kill Eragon.
Yeah, and then
Angela shows up.
Angela
obviously.
shows up all limping. Like, she's all like, those fools
Yeah.
could kill me.
Yeah, Angela and Solemnbum show up, deal with him, break all of the gems around the area that they were being held, and then kill the Razak.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden Angela has this second weapon that's cool.
She's always had... The problem is she keeps whipping out dope weapons.
This weapon, I'd say it's better than a rider's blade. It literally will cut through anything. Like butter,
Yeah,
like a
it's
hot knife.
all
through butter.
biter, or as she calls it, tinkle death.
Yeah, tinkle death or all biter, because it's like a crystal. It looks like it would shatter easily, but it like Eragon uses it on stone
It's
altar
supposed to
and
be
it cuts
like
through it.
less than razor thin.
Right, yeah.
And since it's so thin, it's able to cut through just about anything with incredible ease. According to Angela, even most wards.
Which is insane.
Yeah, and then she hands that over, and then she pulls out a different set of weapons.
Right,
Like, what the
like-
heck, lady? She's like, what's his name? Aragorn. Just like head to toe, covered in weapons. Every inch of her body.
She's like those comedic clips where
Yeah.
they just pull out weapons upon weapons.
Yes. She's like a GTA protagonist.
Yes.
She's got way more on her than she should.
Right, so they go throughout, they kill the rest of the priests.
They kill a bunch of priests. They break into the cathedral, and then kill a bunch more priests. And it's during it was between Bellatona and Dras Leona that Glader came out of his grief-stricken stupor and started to help out.
Which is very surprising. I felt like I don't know. I don't think he should have stayed in grief much longer, but I wouldn't have been upset if he was just like not talking for a long time, because he lost Ornimus, and that was
He lost,
like him and Sapphira. The dragon, the bond between a dragon and a
dragons
rider.
call their riders? It's like bearer of my heart and soul. Is that it?
Something like that. It's
Yeah.
it's like
they are closer than anything. They are mixed consciousnesses.
I think the movie, even though it's like in the book, if a rider dies, the dragon lives, and vice versa. In the movie, it was if the rider dies.
If a
rider
dragon
dies,
dies,
the
a
dragon
rider
dies.
can live. But if a rider dies, both die.
But in the book, they can live. I think the movie portrayed it in a good way, but not a great way.
The movie did a lot okay.
If a rider dies and a dragon will feel like there's nothing to live for.
Same with a rider.
Same with a rider. I don't know how Braum was able to survive. I think Eragon is what kept Brahm sane for so long.
It was Eragon and the need for revenge that kept Brahm going.
Because once he beat Morzan, Eragon was the only thing that kept him going.
No, he didn't even have Eragon. Because it was while he was trying to get into Morzan's stuff that he met what's-her-face? His mother.
No, that's what I'm saying. After the revenge was fulfilled, it was Eragon that kept him sane.
Yes, but like the only thing that kept Brahm going was a need for revenge.
Right, because
it was hatred and anger.
If a rider dies, a dragon will basically just kill itself. Not really, but like it will.
Both of them have a great amount of chance to just go mad with grief and lose themselves in it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would not have been.
Yeah.
I would not have been shocked if Glader was in a depressive state for longer.
Yeah. Yep. I do like though that it's not like one thing happens and then Glader shows up and he's perfectly fine.
No, because
Glader
they try to
talks
contact
and then
Glader,
cuts
he's
everybody
like,
off.
Yeah, he's like he says one or two things and then just dips.
It takes
out.
a lot of work to get Glader back, and that's good.
Yeah,
like the best part
it shows
is
the despair that he's in.
Yeah,
right now.
The best part is that whenever Glader actually starts to have a conversation with people, Bloodgarm grabs onto it and then realizes we need to keep him talking, and the best way I know to do that is to piss him off. So Bloodgarm
that's right.
calls him out on his crap.
Yeah.
And while Glader isn't happy about it, everybody realizes Glader is still talking. And this is kind of what we need. It's handled really well.
They beat the what's it called?
The priest.
And the priest, and then they go out to open the gate and there's a big fight. And it was all seems lost, and then Eragon does something with magic, right? That just
Eragon goes to the gate. While Eragon's going to the gate, Eragon signals the Varden to attack, and then Sapphira, with Bloodgarm looking like Eragon on her back, starts messing with Thor. And then they get into a fight, and they destroy Black Shrike Tooth Cave, the giant cathedral.
Mm-hmm.
And then she dips out to help him. But before she can help him, other stuff starts going on, and Thorn realizes where Eragon is. Thorn and Murtagh realize where Eragon are and start trying to get him. And then Eragon taps into the pool of energy in Arum and blows up the gate on Thorn.
Yep, that's what it was. They blew up the gate.
Thorn is coming straight at him, and just as Thorn goes over the gate, Eragon grabs every ounce of the gate and shoots it straight up like 1,000 feet in the air.
Yeah, and like he sucks all the energy.
Yes.
Oh, he lost the belt in underground.
Yes, he loses the belt to Belith the Wise.
Yeah, but he sucks out all the energy from the ring.
Yep.
And uses it in a
massive damage to Thorn and moves the entire gate out of the way and drops it into Lake Lernia.
Yeah, which is far off.
Yeah. It's right next to Drosleona because it butts up against the lake.
Right, and then right after that...
And then the Varden swarm in and take over Drosleona.
At that point, basically, Drosleona has been taken.
Drosleona's
it was very quick.
Like, the first third of this book, he just speed runs it. And
because they're going to focus on Galbatorix and everything. But
it doesn't feel like it's being rushed.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's being rushed because I feel like if we did get more details about Drosleona, it would feel like, oh, well, we've already seen this with... What's it called? So he does a good... Like, instead of making the book drag on, he's just like... And then they took the city. They spread throughout... He gives enough...
He cuts off the parts that he needed to.
Yeah, he gives enough to where we're like, okay, we've seen this before. They basically did what they did in the last book, and they took the city.
Yeah. And then it's after the attack on Drosleona, where Glader fully comes out of his shell, and then Murtagh attacks in the middle of the night and steals Nasawada.
Okay, so right off the bat,
we're not a third of the way into the book yet.
No, but like when he comes in and like immediately like Thorn lands close to Naswada's tent, and then Eragon's like, "Oh, where's Murtagh? I'm like, "Are you an idiot?"
Yeah.
No one seemed to be thinking, "Oh, he's going after Naswada," even though Thorn was right there by the tent.
Yeah.
And then they couldn't see Murtagh at all.
Yeah.
I just thought that was so stupid that everybody's like, no, it's fine. It's just Thorn. There's no Murtagh. And then Murtagh comes out dragging Naswada by the hair or the arm or whatever. And
and
no
then
one
knocks her out.
Yeah, because he sent Glader was like, you need to attack Thorn right now.
Yes, we need to kill Thorn.
But
and Eragon doesn't want to.
Yeah, he doesn't want to. But no one seems to be concerned with why Thorn is by Naswada's tent and Murtagh is not seen. And that just really made me angry. I remember when I was first reading it, I was almost like, not out loud screaming, but in my head, I was like, you idiot, Naswada is unguarded. Yeah. All her guys are dead. Why is no one...
Yeah, the problem is, it's not without reason that they don't go to her. When Thorn lands, Murtagh takes out half of the what's it called? Half of the Nighthawks. A bunch of soldiers spread out into the camp, and then Thorn lights a ring of fire around Naswada's tent so that nobody can get to her.
But it just never seemed like Eragon was worried about Naswada.
You're right. Eragon never thinks about it. You're 100%
right, which
correct.
is just really, really made me mad because I remember guys, Naswada. And then no one seemed to care until it showed Murtagh dragging her out. And then they were all like, oh yeah, our leader, our fearless leader.
The problem is Eragon is still a farm boy nobody at heart. So he doesn't realize that she's in danger.
But even Arya...
The problem is everybody who does realize that can't get to her.
Yeah.
The only person who could have done it was him. And since he wasn't focused on it, that meant nobody could get to her.
Because he sent Arya off to go get the...
Arya goes to grab orchids so that she can kill Thorn.
Right.
But then by that time, grappling with him, and then he and Oryx start trying to push their way towards Naswada's tent, but also fighting everybody along the way.
Right. And then...
And then Murtagh comes out.
He's saved by that woman that was talked about very... Right? Because that woman comes up with the 14-year-old daughter.
Just before the trial of the Long Knives, or before he healed Elva.
Which I think which goes to show how great of a writer Christopher Paolini is. It seems like no matter what he puts in his book, it is not without purpose.
Yeah.
Because in Bersinger... Yeah, in Bersinger, there's a very quick bit of this foreign woman and her 14-year-old daughter or whatever.
Yep.
And then something happens and I think Eragon frees her or whatever, or someone frees her, right?
When Eragon shows up, she used to have been a prisoner. She wasn't anymore, and she had just had her fortune told by Angela.
Angela, that's right.
Recommends that he bless her and her.
Yeah, and then that's it. That we don't see them again, and then they show up and save Eragon's life. It just feels like no matter what is going on in this book, it's for a purpose, which just I think goes to show how great of a writer that Christopher Paolini is. I don't know if he wrote out and was like, oh, this chick's gonna come back later and save him, or if he was just like, oh, this would be a good idea if I bring back those people.
Yeah.
But either way, the fact that he remembered something that was one paragraph long in book 3, I don't know.
Takes up literally nothing and hits immediately before a big thing happens.
And it didn't even feel out of place either. It was just, oh, okay.
Again, could probably write a whole book about those two. They seem immensely interesting.
Yeah, because he gave a little a little tease.
Yeah.
They've
had a hard life.
Yeah, I'm not telling you her.
Yeah.
And then she disappeared, and then she saved Eragon's life, and then she disappeared again.
Yeah.
He has such a way with. He has such a way with lore building.
Yeah.
But then also not doing it to the point where it's overdone.
Yeah.
Because again, this whole series is about Eragon, so he gives us these teases hey, my world is not just two-dimensional about Eragon, there's more to it, but let's talk about Eragon.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. So...
Long story short, they failed to kill Thorn and Murtagh, and
they escaped with Naswada. Yeah. And this book is where Naswada became one. I think in terms of characters, I like I like Murtagh and Naswada better than Arya.
Yeah.
Like I think with Murtagh, Naswada, Eragon, and Arya, those are the top 4 of the book. When it comes to humans, Sapphira is definitely better than all of them. Sapphira is definitely better than all of them.
100%.
But when it comes to the humanoids, those 4 are the top 4 for sure. But I think Naswada and Murtagh are better than Arya.
Yeah.
And
I like Arya, she's cool and all, but the other 2 are just more interesting.
Yeah, and they honestly, I don't know. I think they might be better than Eragon. Whatever.
It's questionable.
It's very close. Yeah. It's very close.
At that point, it's
debatable.
Just personal preference.
Yeah, it's debatable with those 3 of who is probably the best character. Which is crazy because we learn more about Eragon than the other 2. Yeah. If we had the same amount of information about all 3, who knows?
Yeah.
But Murtagh steals Naswada and takes her to what is the place called? Urubane. And
then Eragon gets
let's
named.
Wait to talk. Yeah, let's wait to talk about
the Varden.
Yeah, let's wait to talk about
Whoops.
That real quick. I think at one point they mentioned like who's going to be in charge of the Varden, and Arya mentions Roran.
It's just before Find Stuff.
Right? They mention Roran?
No. It's whenever they're arguing after she's been taken. Before Find Stuff, she tells Eragon, if anything happens to me and I die,
you're in charge.
You're taking over for me. And Eragon's like, oh,
I don't want to do that.
Nothing's going to happen to you, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Wink, wink. But
and then she gets taken, and they have a big meeting between everybody, between Orin and Orik.
The fact that Arya mentioned Roran made me angry.
They suggested Roran, and immediately everybody wrote him off, and I was like, oh, thank God.
Why would Arya suggest that, though?
Because it's possible.
I guess after everything he's done, but I'm glad that he did.
Yes, I'm so glad he did. Yes.
What was it? Orik? King Orik? I don't like
Orik was positioned as possibly being able to take it, but again, wouldn't work well because the Varden don't really like having a non-human. Orin wanted it.
I don't like Orin at all.
Yeah. Ever since he left Stewart, he became a jerk.
And then Jormander...
Jormander's like, you could put me in there, but I don't really want to.
Yeah, Jormander's very chill. He's like, I'd rather just continue my studies.
Jormander's like, okay, my whole job is the army, and I don't want to deal with anything else. You guys can deal with politics. I'll run the army.
Right.
Yeah.
So Eragon is in charge now, and the whole thing is the whole I don't remember but like the whole thing is, hey, we need to attack before members of the Varden disperse, and it's kind of like
spirits have to stay high.
Now that Naswada is not in charge, we need to focus our attention on attacking Urubane, or they'll disperse and we'll never have another moment to attack Galtork. So they head off towards Urubane.
By this point, they've taken Drosleona, and the elves have taken Gilead. Within like 3 or 4 days, they'll meet up with the elves.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the week, they're attacking Urubane.
Right.
And they're like, if this time frame gets stretched out anymore, we will lose this fight.
And this
has to take place here and now.
This book probably has some. I think the Naswada chapters are some of the best chapters ever written.
Over in the Hall of Soothsayer, which we'll talk about later.
Okay.
Let's just do Eragon's point of view up to Urubane, and then we'll do Naswada's.
Okay.
So Eragon just does weird farm boy nobody nonsense and like threatens Solabum to give him more information about the Rock of Kuthian.
I didn't like that he threatened.
Yeah.
I thought that was weird that he just threatened.
Whatever. Eragon makes some bad choices in trying to get more information about the Rock of Kuthian. And then he figures out that it's on Vrowengard, which was the old home of the Riders. So he talks to Eragon, can't keep a secret, whatever his last name is, Bronson. Immediately tells Glader and Arya all about it.
But the thing is, this is where it gets really interesting.
Yes.
They mention it, and then basically Arya and Glader.
Yeah, they mention it like halfway not even halfway through Eragon, and just don't talk about it until now. Like
Right,
the old,
which just goes to show that
prophecy.
he wrote this at the very beginning. He wrote the whole series at the beginning.
It also wasn't until like the end of Brissinger that it occurred to me that Sapphira was the person from the prophecy. Because the prophecy is like, he'll have somebody that he'll love for the rest of his life. And immediately I thought, oh, romantic. But no, this means like platonic. Like, him and Sapphira love each other, and nothing could break that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, the Glader threatens Solombaum.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
I felt like Solombaum is an ally
dope.
at this point. Solombaum, I feel like Eragon and Solombaum are as close to friends as you can get with a weird cat besides Angela. Like, I feel like if Solombaum was going to call anyone besides Angela friend, it would be Eragon. And for Eragon and Glader to threaten him, I felt like that was just
Eragon.
I didn't like that at all.
Eragon doesn't like fully threaten him with physical violence. He just will not accept no for an answer when it comes to you not having more information. And then Glader openly invades his mind to try and figure out if it is actually Solombaum.
Right, and I just didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
I just felt like, well, that's when has Solombaum ever told me wrong?
Like everybody, both Eragon and Arya immediately snap at Glader. Like, what the heck was that about, kid? And Glader was like, I couldn't let him build up a backstory.
Right.
And I was like, I get it, but you could have been a little bit nicer about it, pal.
Right. So they
go to
figure it
the Rock
out. Yeah, they go to the Rock of the Kuthian. It's just Eragon and Sapphira. They see that, what was it? That
essentially the Megalodon.
Megalodon, yeah.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
The Naldar, or whatever. Just like a massive sea creature. Again, Christopher Paolini just drops some dope-ass thing and then walks away without talking any more about it. The massive sea creature that's as big as a dragon and apparently has its own Eldunari.
It's like a distant relative of a dragon, but it lives in the sea.
It's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so they get to
the
Rowan Guard, and it's just it's like if it's like burnt.
It's Chernobyl.
Like the whole,
It's like somebody detonated a nuke, and now the entire place is
technically did,
radiation.
didn't they?
Yeah.
Didn't one of the
100%.
elves combust on purpose and just destroy everything?
I assume anybody who's listening to this has also read the whole book. But
at this point,
he uses the spell that converts his body into light. Which, again, light is pure energy. And like we found out in the tunnels underneath Farthendur, when that much pent-up energy gets released in an extremely short amount of time, it causes mass destruction. This dude literally detonated a nuke, and the nuke was him.
Right. And that was solely to protect the Rock of Kuthian.
To kill a bunch of the what's it called? To kill as many of the Forsworn as they can and destroy the house that had the eggs. So the Forsworn wouldn't get any more. And then they reach the Rock of Kuthian and realize that they have to use their true names, which means they have to go on the soul searching
figure it out.
Yeah.
Yep. They figure out their true names. We don't know what they are, but we never learn either.
Yeah.
But
I'm also I really do love just that whole concept. The concept of true names and how it's handled in this book is so good.
I do like the fact that it's also not set in stone, because no one stays the same forever. Yeah. So like and Eragon's true name, it was described as
good and bad.
Yeah, it was because your true name shows all your faults and all your.
It shows who you truly are, and that is bad and good. You've made mistakes, and you've also done good things.
Yeah, and I think I forget how they describe Eragon's true name. It was something like someone who is learning or something like that, right?
I don't know if they ever say that, but their name, both his and Sapphira's names, are like a sentence, and Glader's is like 3 paragraphs. So whenever they actually say their names, they're both like, oh, cool, so we got a little ways to go then.
Eragon's true name is Hero Gary Stew. Is like that's how you pronounce it. Hero Gary Stew.
Okay.
Trying to find out what it was described as, because I think I remember it describing.
It doesn't go into great detail. It just gives generals.
Yeah.
What I was saying is, it seems.
Yeah,
like,
he also figured out Sloane's true name. I don't know how he did that.
Yeah, that's how he cast the spell on him to get him to go to Ellesmere. We did gloss over that 100%, but to be fair, so does Paolini.
When he discovers his true name, he also realizes that it's not the same as it would have been if he had discovered it in Eragon.
Yeah.
Because I think the way his true name was described in the book, it was someone who has grown, but still has more to grow. Yeah. Because it also later on it says something else. Like when he tells someone his true names, it shows his feelings for this person because it's everything.
That's set up
his true name.
Yes.
Yeah, his true name is everything about him. So like when he tells Sapphira his true name, Sapphira realizes how much he cares for Sapphira.
They care about each other so much. It's present in.
It's affecting their true names. Yeah. They figure out their true names, and it opens up the Vault of Souls, which is the Rock of Kuthian. It's like a door.
It's an old big door that they wiped from a bunch of people's memories.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So they go down in there, and they see, what was it, like 200 Eldenari or something like that?
They see a bunch of they see 138 Eldunari, like 200 dragon eggs, and the dopest dude of all time, the Metal Dragon Man, who watches over it.
Right. And
which is piloted by an Eldunari.
Yeah, so that Eldunari speaks to them and tells them.
Well, first they invade their minds and like break them into 12 pieces, which is wild to read about.
Right. They're all like,
it's crazy to see something like that happen to somebody.
And they basically explained that the Eldunari have been, pushing fate as much as they can. Like they've been the guide to everything. So even from the beginning, when Arya sent the stone, she was trying to send it to Brahm,
and they directed
it to Eragon. They directed it to Eragon and everything, and how they've been waiting, how they've been, directing the flow of everything from the beginning of the book.
They do openly say that we're not the strongest ones. We're just the ones that are left.
Yeah.
And we will do whatever we can to ensure that we win this.
Yeah,
but they leave 5 Eldunari behind.
Yeah. They leave 5 Eldunari behind, and they're basically like, all right, so once you leave, you're going to forget about us again until you beat Galbatorix.
Yes.
Basically, just in case Eragon loses, those dragon eggs will not fall into the hands of Galbatorix.
Yeah.
Which they take,
as soon as he leaves, that cements it as the only secret he hasn't told anybody. Because it's the only one he doesn't remember to tell.
For now.
Yeah, I know.
So they get the Eldunari and they head back. And they stop right before, and then they bring out all those other, the leaders to tell them about
the leaders and discuss what they found, the Eldunari, and Eragon's plan for assaulting Utherbank.
Right, so almost immediately Eragon tells everybody about the Eldunari.
Well, he's already told everybody about an Eldunari, so now he's just telling them about
he has this. Well, I mean, I guess at this point it doesn't even matter because they're gonna attack Galbatorix tomorrow. So, like, if he tells
either everyone here is going to die tomorrow, or I can deal with the problem later.
Right, so he tells them about the Eldunari. Oh man, what's her name was mad? Islan Zadi.
Islan Zadi wasn't mad. Orin was pissed that he didn't learn about them.
Oh,
Islan Zadi personally knew a couple of those dragons and was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, Islan Zadi and Blood, like all the elves were like, oh yay.
They were like, oh yeah, I remember a couple of you guys.
What's up, guys? Yeah, and then they all talked to Glader too, right? Like Glader talked to them or something like that. Anyway.
Yeah, and then Eragon details the plan for the assault on Utherbank. While all of that is happening, Naswada's in the Hall of the Soothsayer.
Right, and this is the first time we actually see Galbatorix in a metaphorical sense, I guess, because it's a book. But Which is also one thing I
This is
don't
the first time his physical
want,
presence shows up.
which is what I think the movie did wrong, because it showed him at like the very beginning of the movie,
Yep.
and he's not even in the first book. He is, but like he's not seen or heard.
Yep.
And with the show coming out, they haven't announced that it will cover all books. They've only announced that it will cover Eragon, which I find it hard to believe that they wouldn't cover all books. With how well the story flows, it doesn't really end on any one book. But I really hope that they don't introduce Galbatorix until the end, like they do in the book, because it makes him like that much more because he's a presence.
The only thing we knew about him was his just how he affected the world around him. Right. And that spoke way more to him as a character
than him showing up and talking, yeah.
But that does mean that when we do meet him, there's significantly more weight behind it.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's in the Hall of the Soothsayer with Naswada and everything, and he's not acting like a bad guy. He's all like, I will never lie to you in this hall. You can ask me anything. I don't want to kill you. I want you to join me. He's not acting like everyone has said he has been for the past, 100 years or whatever.
Yeah, he's not shown to be he's not a
tyrant
truly sympathetic villain, which I'm okay with.
Right.
Like, he's still very much a bad guy. He does very bad things, and he's not great. However, he does want good things. Like, he spends the whole time of, like, his conversations with Naswada explaining to her, like, his ideal is that one day everybody will live in peace. They won't have to fear each other. They won't have to fear spellcasters.
Magic users
Everybody
will be
just
on a tight
live.
leash, because he thinks it's not fair that anyone with magic can enslave anyone without magic.
And Naswada thinks the same thing.
Yeah, it's a good plan. It's just terribly executed. It's just it's hard to execute that plan without
losing yourself in the process.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, Murtagh and Naswada, they have conversations too.
Yeah. We learned that Murtagh has a thing for Naswada, which echoes something that happened again towards the end of Eragon, where whenever we first meet Naswada, like, her last words to Eragon are, hey, you should probably check in on Murtagh. He's a little lonely. Which
I mean,
she had been to visit.
Yeah, they have been talking since Eragon. I feel like she definitely, because she was not in charge in Eragon.
Yeah,
she had plenty of time on her hands. I totally can see her not just visiting Murtagh a few times in jail, but like staying there for long periods of time, talking to him, learning more about life outside the Varden.
Yeah,
and then developing some sort of connection.
Yeah.
Which we don't see, but it's definitely background.
Yeah.
You
it's
can
implied
definitely tell
by the way that
something.
Murtagh treats her.
Yes. And the thing is, this is where Murtagh becomes my favorite. He goes in and he warns Naswada. He's like, I'll take away as much of the pain as I can. Galbatorix will start messing with your mind. I'll let my presence touch your mind so you know when it's going on and when it's not going on. Yeah. Which this is just like, at this point in the book, Naswada is one of my favorite characters. So when Murtagh, the unlikely ally to come and to her rescue, and like this just pushed Murtagh up to the front for me. Galbatorix is in there. He's like, come on, Naswada, I don't want to kill you. I want you to join me. Blah blah blah. He's doing all these tricks, and Murtagh comes in there and heals her and like takes away your pain and all that. I love that.
It's really good. It just is.
Yeah.
There's not much else I can say about it.
These chapters are actually the most we learned about Murtagh. So
Christopher Paolini could have fallen into a trap and gone way overly sexual with this, like certain people, Stephen King, but doesn't. And mad props to him for having a solid torture scene that doesn't dwell on the pain that's being inflicted.
Right, and
Yeah.
also the torture scene didn't get sexual, which I'm glad.
Yeah.
But then
thankfully.
again, I think these books were written for children books anyway, so
Doesn't matter.
that'd have been awkward.
People in my high school are reading Stephen King as well.
Well, Stephen King is
He's not great.
a whole different subject. Anyway.
Anyways, that culminates with the assault on Urubane.
Yeah, because it's like in Eldest, they're jumping back and forth between these two. So before the Eragon offers to tell Arya his true name,
And she denies him.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want you to tell me your true name just because we're about to die tomorrow. You know,
Yeah.
which I don't know. I love it. I love that.
Yep.
Even now,
Yep.
she's like, not my style, boy. You know, she's like, sit down, little boy.
On the ride over, he's also been like, all of the dragons have been sharing memories with him. So he's still young in body, but his mind is aging rapidly.
His mind is aging
because
rapidly
he's
because
so many different lives.
Yeah, it's not just sharing memories with the Eldenari. It's like he's living these lives at a rapid pace, and it's like what 130 of them giving their lives real quickly to him. Not 130 because most of them are almost mad, but it's 130. 10 or 12
Five
that
of
are
them,
giving them.
He had 139. 5 of them stayed back, including the big dragon boy.
I
Sorry,
remember
the hot
most
dragon
of them
boy.
were mad, right?
That's
most of them
afterwards.
have gone mad.
That's after. We'll talk about
okay.
that. I'll let you know when we get there. But it's after the meeting with Isla and Saudi on all of them that Arya stays back, and looks at him and is like, "You've changed.
You've changed." Yeah, she definitely tells him you've
Like,
changed.
you've changed. You're different now. You're more mature, essentially."
Yes.
And Aragon's
But
like, "Ooh,
he's still,
guess who's got a chance?"
he's still not mature because he's like,
Yeah. He's still a kid. He just
It's
has
just like,
so
no.
much wisdom to draw.
sit down.
Yeah.
But there's a slight change in Arya's demeanor because she's not like shutting him down angrily. She's like, well, I don't want you to feel like you have to tell me your true name because we're gonna die tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's not like an angry shutdown like it has been before.
Yeah. It's more, she's becoming more and more reluctant. We'll do the outside of the assault on Urubane, and then
We'll do
the
what?
inside of the assault. Okay.
He's been building these defenses up for like
100
forever.
years.
Yeah, for like, well, it's more like 1,000. Okay.
It's 100. They've only been dead for 100 years.
Close.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anyways.
100 years.
Yeah. So Aragon's big plan is he'll go invisible and try to sneak in, while the elves make a magic Sapphira and him that dart around and wreak havoc, while everybody
Which is
else
crazy
charges
how
the
many
walls.
times this has worked.
Yeah, it is impressive just how many times they've fallen for a fake one of them.
Fool me once, fool me 8 times. Shame
Fool me
on
once,
me.
shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, shame on everyone.
Right.
Shame all
Well,
around.
I mean, I guess you have, like, when it comes to Eragon and Sapphira, you can't really take
What are
a
you gonna
chance.
do,
Oh,
let him
that's
go?
just, that's just a fake.
Yeah.
You kind of really don't have a choice but to attack.
They've
it
also
and-
given it substance. Like, it has
Right,
weight
yeah.
behind it.
Right.
Yeah, it's neat what they do. They charge the walls. We're getting a lot from Roran's perspective. Pretty much everything on Urubane is from Roran's perspective.
Oh man! You know what? I don't like this one dude with the Eldenari on him.
Lord Barst.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and how
we'll get there.
Okay. Oh yeah, you said wait till we're inside the wall to talk about that, right?
We'll deal with everybody inside with Eragon after we're done with everybody on the outside.
Right.
They charge the walls. They manage to get up to the top, and as they start like pushing people off the top and further into Urubane, after the elves like sing a song that destroys the outer walls, or the gates rather, all of the Varden get essentially brought inside of Urubane, and once they're all inside and like trapped in all the city streets, Lord Barst shows up.
Yeah, it's kind of like they get in very easily, but it's
Yes.
like a trap.
Yes. He wanted them to get inside so that they would only have one way out and he could track them. Lord Barst is set up to be like an intense military commander who's like never lost a battle, super good at what he does, all that nonsense. He shows up with a much too big breastplate, which Roran thinks is hiding an Eldunari, swinging a mace that is entirely too big for somebody to be swinging, and just generally wrecking shop.
Yeah, for sure.
The battle goes on for a while. The Varden are like taking some and losing some, and then Lord Barst gets personally involved, and they start losing everything. They get pushed all the way back to the gates. And then, what's it called? Islan Zadi goes and does a 1v1 versus Barst.
This is the part
and
I
loses.
Don't like. Yeah, this is the part I don't like.
Yeah.
Islan Zadi, the queen of the elves who has been alive for thousands of years,
immensely
loses
strong, has all of the elf
Barst.
spellcasters behind her.
Loses
Well, the fight.
no, because they couldn't cast spells, remember?
They
because
could, they're at
like
the gates.
The
spell
that's right.
only protects inside the city, not
Once
the
you
walls
get into the
themselves.
city, if you cast a spell, it would either not work or
Yes.
it would be chaotic and
or
might
it would
kill
work
your own.
wrong and kill
Yeah.
somebody else, one of your own people. But that doesn't
Right.
apply to the gates, which is
So
where
they're at
she
the
fights
gates.
him. Yeah, and nobody uses
Right.
magic.
And loses.
It loses,
And
then
Roran
Roran,
beats him.
good old Captain Phasma over there, Roran, gets the brilliant idea after watching everybody die fighting him, to start just pounding the dude's wards, because he knows from personal experience your wards draw on your own strength.
Right.
So if
I
he
just-
can wear
I don't
him
know.
down, then eventually he'll run out of strength and we can actually kill him.
I feel like what would have been better here is because Islan Zadi had to die. I get that.
I don't think she did, but
Well,
that's
I mean, to get to the end, to get to how the book ended, she had to die.
she could have retired. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think that's how that works.
Could have.
But I feel like they should have killed each other at the same time. I don't, because she's the elf, like she's the leader of the elves.
Yeah, she's supposed to be super mega dope.
She's
person.
one of the most badass people alive, and then for her to just die in the first fight that we actually see her in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been better if they killed each other at the same time.
Yeah, if it was
Because
her
I get-
that like pierced his breastplate and destroyed the Eldunari and him, 100% would have been glad.
Kills her, right?
Yeah, sure, whatever. I would have taken that.
And I get that she had to die
But not Roran.
if you had this ending set up. But yeah, definitely not Roran. That has okay, he killed 190 people, whatever.
Yeah,
Sure,
he's killed like 300 people. Cool for him. Aragon's killed like 8,000.
but Lord,
We're not counting
I don't
numbers.
think he should have. I just did not like that at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's probably one of the main reasons I don't like Roran. I felt like that was just too far of a reach for him.
The problem is this is the second time this has happened. It happens with
Right.
the twins, and then it happens here.
Yeah, for
Like
him
Roran,
not to. For
Nobody.
him not to have any kind of magical
Yeah.
powers is weird. Like, he's just human, and he was able to beat.
Yeah. He was able to
two
break an
huge
Eldunari.
Yeah, I don't know.
No
I don't
way.
know, man.
Yeah, Roran gets into a fight with the guy. They pound him for a while. Barst kills a bunch more people, and then Roran breaks the Eldunari on his chest and kills Lord Barst.
Yeah.
And then we cut to the guys on the inside
Yeah, it's Eragon, Arya,
and the spellcasters.
and all 12 of the original elves that were with him.
11,
11.
because one of them died under Drosiana.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, the 11 elves, like, turn into, like, chess pieces.
they try
and,
to
like,
sneak
move
in,
off
and
into-
immediately their magic drops. So they're like,
Yeah.
"Oop, too late now."
Yeah, and they're, like, turned into chess
Yeah.
pieces and moved
they've
off
brought-
into...
Well, they try to sneak in with them the same way that Murtagh brought people into their camp. The magic goes away, which means that they just have to like run as fast as they can to try to get to Galbatorix before anybody stops them. They're
Oh,
bringing
no,
Elva with them.
to get the traps.
Yeah. They get into the main hallway that leads up to Galbatorix's throne room. They're constantly dodging traps around the way. Murtagh and Thorn are at the gates trying to break in to get to them. A bunch of spellcasters try to kill them. Eragon kills them first. Elva is trying to guide them through this area so that they don't get killed by any spells. And then all of the spellcasters, except everybody but Eragon, Arya, and Elva, get bound up in magic wind nonsense that stops them from moving and pushed further into the castle.
Yeah, like a chess piece. They're literally just moved off to the side.
Yep.
Like, whoop.
Yep.
Which just goes to show how strong Galbatorix is, where he just like bound 11 elves and pushed them off to the side like they were nothing.
Yep. And then the 3 of them get into the main chamber. Sorry, the 4 of them with Sapphira as well.
And and Galbatorix is literally just
hanging
sitting on his throne with his sword and just like looking at him like, well, I've been waiting for you.
Yep. With a massive quote-unquote black curtain behind him that is just the wing of Shrukin.
The wing of
like
Shrukin,
a mile long. He's not that long.
And Naslata is like what, on a like a pole? Like
after Murtagh shows up, he like turns up the lights in the room, and Naslata's bound to just like a big rock in the corner.
Yeah.
She hasn't broken, even though she went through mad amounts of torture.
These next chapters with Galbatorix are some of the best written chapters in the entire series.
I love them so much.
Yep.
And then Murtagh and Thorn join them.
Yep.
And then it kicks off.
Yep.
With what's his name?
Galbatorix wants Murtagh and Eragon to fight.
Before that happens, Galbatorix uses the name of the ancient language to turn off all magic in the room.
Oh yeah, and tries.
Yeah. He even invites them. He's like, "Come on, cast a spell. Let's see what happens."
Nothing.
Yep.
So when Eragon was fighting the Razak warned him. He's like, "Hey, Eragon, Galbatorix is close to finding the true name." But at that point in the book, Eragon brushed it off because he was like, "Okay, whatever. I don't know what you're talking about."
And then Eragon meets the dude who trained Angela, who's also looking for a specific name. And Angela's like, "Oh, he could have been talking about the name of pineapple. Who knows?" And then it gets here.
Angela knew.
Yeah, 100%. And then Galbatorix speaks out the
true name of the ancient language.
Yeah,
so he's able to control it. But the crazy thing is, he's also cast a spell on it to where if you say it, you forget it immediately.
Yes.
Yeah. Kind of like what happened with the Vault of Souls.
Yeah.
So he's basically like, all right, there's no magic now. And then he lays out his plan. He's like, this is what I want to do. I don't want... When it comes to a non-magic user, which they have been setting up with Roran the whole time, Roran has been angry. He's like, well, against the magic user, I'm helpless.
Roran also describes the fight between Eragon and Galbatorix as a fight between gods. Because compared to normal people, those two are gods.
Yeah, pretty much. So I feel like Roran would have survived, but whatever.
Who cares?
So yeah, Galbatorix lays out his plan, and his plan is to set limitations on magic users because he thinks it shouldn't be to where magic users are able to just enslave anyone whenever they want because they're so much more powerful than non-magic users.
Galbatorix is like, hey, while we're here, why don't you and Murtagh fight? I'm always curious as to which one of the two of you was the stronger. So he just lets them spar for like an hour. It's not an hour.
Yeah,
it's for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, but like at one point Murtagh is about to kill Eragon and Galbatorix saves Eragon.
It's like 4 moves in. Murtagh goes to lop off his head. And Eragon was like, oh, didn't think we were going that far.
Yeah, because he was not like wanting to fight him.
And everybody like Sapphira and Gladiator and everybody like immediately come to Eragon's mind and are like, dude, I get you don't want to kill him, but he's not pulling punches. You can't be doing this either.
Right. So Eragon and them are fighting, and Eragon's like, okay, I guess I have to let this dude win in some sort of way. Like, his only choice, let him come in and, like, cut him. Like, stab him. And then that would leave him wide open for an attack.
Well, Eragon leans on Gladiator's, the first words that Gladiator had said to them after coming out of his grief thing, which was, you have to learn to see what is in front of you.
Right.
So he starts reading the situation and he realizes Galbatorix isn't going to stop this until he's satisfied. And Murtagh won't stop until I'm dead.
Yeah.
So I have to find a way to end this fight without losing every drop of energy in my body, so that I have enough to fight Galbatorix after this. So he decides, if I take a hit, I can deal a worse wound to Murtagh, and then Galbatorix will call it. And that's also where he realizes Murtagh is fighting really hard. And he starts to realize why Murtagh would be fighting so hard. It's because Murtagh is fighting for something other than himself. It's not just him and Thorn anymore. It's now him, Thorn, and Naswada. And now that Naswada's in the mix, that means Murtagh's true name would have changed.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
I think this is my absolute favorite part of the book, where Eragon lets Murtagh take a hit or hit him.
Yeah.
And then Eragon like stabs him in the gut.
Yeah, like goes for the disembowel, like across the chest.
Right. And then he's all like, they're all like drop, like Murtagh drops. He's like, you couldn't just let me win and all that. Like, and then like Galbatorix is like, all right, let me come here, let me heal your wounds. And then Murtagh, like Eragon and Murtagh, like they've been talking for like a second. Like, you know, he's like,
they've been doing the classic.
Your names have changed. We can do this now, you know? And then Murtagh, my absolute, like every time I read it, it hypes me up so much, where Murtagh goes, okay, get ready.
Yeah.
Like, this man just took a sword to the gut, and he's like, get ready. We're about to attack this dude. And that, like, every time I read that, it hypes me up so much.
Yeah,
like,
they did the classic warrior talking with the blade.
I know,
they don't say anything to each other, but the way they're fighting is having a full conversation between the two.
I know, it's just so good.
It's so much fun.
It goes to show that these two know each other well enough. And I don't know, it just... And then Murtagh's like, get ready. Let's do this right now.
Murtagh's like, and then, if you think you can, we're going for it.
I know, Murtagh is ready. It just hypes me up even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And like, so they all turn around and they go at it, and like
Murtagh cancels out all of
he says
wards.
He says the true name, right? Like he says
he uses the name of names to drop all of the wards from Galbatorix and Shuriken.
Yeah, Arya attacks Shuriken.
Everybody starts to attack, and then Galbatorix stops everybody in midair. And is like, oh, you thought you could do something to me. Sorry, let me explain what's really going to happen. And then we've learned up until this point that the way dragons can't cast magic on their own. They can only be used as a focus for somebody else. But the way their magic works is by emotion. Like, raw emotion can create in them their strongest of magics. And so Eragon calls on the combined might of every Eldunari he has, as well as Sapphira, Thorn, and himself.
Right.
And channels raw emotion into a spell cast with no words that forces Galbatorix to understand all the pain he's caused everyone else.
He does it in the most Eragon way possible. He's not he's not going for a kill shot here.
To the end, Eragon stays true to his word.
All the dragons are like, kill this man right now, and Eragon's like, no. And he's just like, I want you to know what you have done.
Yeah. He draws on everyone's pain and forces Galbatorix to learn what he's done to them.
And it is too much for Galbatorix.
Yeah, a fight goes on. Arya, Thorn, and Sapphira fight Shuriken, which ends up Arya stabs him through the eyeball with the orchid. We'll talk about that later. And then during the fight because after that spell was cast, Galbatorix lost concentration and everybody was allowed to move. So Eragon and Galbatorix get into a fight between their blades, and once again, Eragon is holding true to his ideals of, I am no one's executioner. I am not here to kill him if I can disarm him. So while Galbatorix is going for kill shots, Eragon is just trying to stop him.
Right.
And then it comes to the point where Galbatorix can no longer live with what he's done. and
Yeah,
uses
it's
the
kinda-
same spell that was used on Roengard to turn himself into pure energy.
It's kind of like when Aragon and Galbatorix are fighting with a sword. It's definitely not. It's definitely not a true fight because Galbatorix is also like feeling all
Yes,
this
he's also
pain in his
grappling with
mind.
everything he's ever done.
Yes, I feel like if he didn't have that, Galbatorix would easily just slice Aragon to ribbons.
That's the point. The whole book is building to the idea of these people could not stop him in an open battle. They need something else to step in.
So this is what stepped in. Aragon was, or Galbatorix was, getting his mind pressed by every emotion he's ever caused, good or bad, mostly bad. And
it was every ounce of pain he's ever caused somebody. He had to come to the full grips with that over the last 200 years or however long he's lived.
Right, and that's a huge amount. So it's kind of like he decided that he couldn't live with it.
Yep.
And especially since Shuriken's dead, he's like, okay, well, why am I alive?
Well, so he doesn't care. The problem is, he doesn't care about Shuriken.
No, he doesn't.
As soon as they see Shuriken, Elva, whenever they were outside and Shuriken flies over the camp, Elva tells Eragon, there is nothing in him but pain.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do for that dragon is end it.
Mm-hmm.
Because Galbatorix doesn't care about him. Galbatorix is just forcing him to do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And then Galbatorix comes to grips with that and turns himself into a nuke.
And Eragon uses
he uses every ounce of energy there is to protect him and the other dragons.
Yep. So that's it. Galbatorix was not killed by Eragon, which I'm glad. He was
true.
He was. I feel like, in the grand scheme of things, Eragon was judge and jury. In that, he's like, I find you guilty. Here's your punishment to live with the pain. And then Galbatorix couldn't deliver. So
that's tricky, because you could say he was also judge and jury for Sloane, but he wasn't. It depends on how you look at it. You can look at it from the point of, yes, he took on the position of judge and jury, but he was not executioner. Or you can take it the position of, he knows what would happen if he does face a fair trial. So rather than allowing him to fall into the grips of other people who would just perpetuate a cycle of violence, he's ending it the only way he knows that can stop this from happening again. Because that's the big thing that happens in a ton of series. That's the thing that happened with, that would have happened with Sloane if he had lived and gone back, is Roran probably would have killed Sloane, and then somewhere down the line, somebody would have killed Roran, and then somewhere down the line, somebody would have killed them. It's the same thing as, The Last of Us 2. It's the cycle of violence. Yeah. Until somebody lets somebody else go, this will not end.
Right.
And rather than putting himself in that position, he did the only thing he knew he could do in order to attempt to stop the cycle of violence. So, he could be looked at as judge jury against those two, or you could see him as just doing what was necessary to halt a
The thing is, he
perpetuation of
gave
violence.
each of them a chance. He gave Sloane a chance, and then he also gave Galbatorix a chance.
When he went back to Elismira to talk to, what's it called? I don't know, it's after this. A little bit after this, he goes back to Elismira and he brings back Roran and Katrina, and he gives
and then he let
Sloane his sight.
Yeah,
so that Sloane can see his daughter and his granddaughter.
And his granddaughter. Right. Which I feel like since the book ended, eventually Sloane will. Well, he never talks to them. He's not allowed.
It's still his true name. Until Sloane changes his true name, he cannot speak to them.
Which I don't think will ever happen.
Yeah.
But he also, I feel like even with the spell that he cast on Galbatorix, it was still a chance, you know?
Galbatorix didn't have to kill himself.
No, he didn't. He
could have. If Galbatorix, in that weakened state, seeing all of the pain he's done to everybody else, got brought before all the leaders, they could have just as easily, left him in a dungeon. Mm-hmm. He didn't have to die. No. That was the key thing. That was what Eragon always wanted. Eragon is nobody's executioner.
No.
He just wants to bring them to a point where they can't cause any more harm. And that's good.
Yep. So
Once
they go
again,
back.
Christopher Paolini
and,
is amazing at writing believable characters who hold to their traits.
Thorn and Murtagh dip out real quick.
Yeah, they drop off their Eldunari and then peace out.
Yeah, and then Eragon chases them, and this is like, he lets Murtagh go.
Yeah.
And Murtagh is all like, I'm going up north. I'll be back maybe eventually. And then Eragon, hey, if you ever need me, you know, you just call out to me. I'll, you know. And then we hear Thorn's voice.
We hear Thorn talk.
And it's said as musical.
Yep.
Which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
What a twist. You know, not like a huge twist, but like,
it's a thing a lot of people don't see having like a softer or more musical voice as being very masculine.
right.
But
and
in this situation, it works.
the only time we've seen Thorn is he's been on the attack. He's been quote unquote the bad guy. But with him talking and being all musical and like, he's not a bad guy.
Yeah.
And
neither of them are. They were just forced into it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they leave because they know that, hey, we can't stick around after everything we've done, even though it wasn't our fault.
Nobody's
we can't
going
stick
to
around.
want us here.
Right.
Yeah.
So they leave. Did we talk about Eragon giving the gold ball to Jode's wife?
No, that happened in Brissinger.
Okay, it's not that important.
Just before he left, he gave a bit of... He, again, does the Eragon thing and writes a couple of what he saw as past wrongs. Because he stole from some people and he took advantage of some people. Not took advantage in a bad way, just like...
Hey, I need... Like, yeah, those guys who did...
Goodwill.
He stole the leather
wanted
from...
to pay them back. Yeah.
Yeah. And then...
so he gives them gold.
The one thing...
and then he makes rings for Roran and Katrina and gives Jode's wife gold to invest.
The one thing I have a problem with is he promised Jode a ride on Sapphira, and that never happened.
We don't know. It could have happened while he was in front of the door, but
I'm calling.
Says it.
I want a one-page paragraph from Christopher Paolini describing it right now.
A one-page paragraph?
One-page paragraph right now. But
this one goes out to you, Christopher Paolini.
But yeah, he did let. I'm just gonna say he let like it happen at one point in the books.
You would assume.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the highest honor you could give to Jode. I feel like, I don't know, that because Jode helped him sneak out
and
the
he also
egg.
helped
So
Brom.
So
yeah.
Anyway,
it just starts to like skip through a little bit of time.
Yeah, Eragon's all like, I gotta leave.
Yeah, Arya gets the last of the dragon eggs from Uterbane and takes off towards Ellesmere, so that they can start faring it among the elves in the hopes of having a new.
They find all those other rider blades.
Yeah, they find all the rider blades and all of Galbatorix's Eldunari, which is what you were
thinking and as soon as Galbatorix is destroyed, Eragon remembers about the Vault of Souls and tells Arya and Bloodgarm,
literally everybody, that there are more eggs.
Yeah, and Bloodgarm, which he hugs, which I liked. I liked that he hugged Bloodgarm when he found out he was still alive. Because I was happy that Bloodgarm was still alive.
Bloodgarm's cool.
I know. I think that's one of the coolest details about the elves in this book, that they just pour themselves into their hobbies so much that they change their appearance.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So Arya goes back to Ellesmere.
Yep.
Also, Eragon is sent on missions for some reason.
He's sent on missions. He's sent on peacekeeping missions.
Yeah,
because nobody's gonna start a fight when there's a dragon rider.
Right.
And there's the only dragon rider, the one who killed Galbatorix.
Right.
As far as everybody else is concerned.
So this happens. What? It's been like 3 months since Arya.
It's been a year.
It's been a year.
Yes, a year passes between A year passes between the times that he sees Arya.
Yeah, and they haven't talked either.
Yes. She dips out and cuts all communication with him.
Right, and Eragon's all like, what did I do?
Man, Eragon's like, what did I do? And then just before he gets a message back from her, because he sent 1 or 2 letters, Naswada tells him that she wants him to head up a task force that'll keep all of the mages in
I did not like this.
in check.
I did not like that.
Yep.
I felt like
100%.
I felt like it was against Naswada's character.
It's not. That's the problem.
I know. I just hold Naswada to this higher standard.
we're holding her to a standard that she's not to maintain. She does not disagree with Galbatorix's wish to put the spellcasters in check.
And Eragon is all like, no, I'm not doing that.
Eragon's like, I'll think about it.
Yeah, because he already knows at this point that he's leaving, but he just doesn't tell her.
He also has the name of names, which means that he can kind of do whatever he wants.
He gives it to Arya, and that's it.
He gives it to Arya. I know Arya knows it, Murtagh knows it, and I think...
That's it, those three.
Is that just
because Murtagh tells Eragon, and then Eragon tells Arya.
Yes.
And that's it.
I don't remember. For some reason, I thought Bloodgarm might know, but I don't remember.
No, I don't think so.
A bunch of people know he knows the name, though.
Yes.
Yeah, because he uses it everywhere he goes.
And so eventually he tells Naswada he's leaving.
He waits until after he sees Arya to tell her.
Was it? I thought it was
before.
Arya shows back
do the
up
thing for him. Arya shows up with Fiernan.
And she's a dragon, right?
Her green dragon. Who's a big old boy since he's had a year to grow.
Yeah, and the reason Arya didn't want to talk to him is because she didn't want anyone to find out or something like that.
She says
she didn't want to lie to Eragon.
Her thing is like she didn't want to mention Fiernan until she felt ready to show Fiernan to people.
That's a cooler name than Thor.
Every name is a cooler name than Thorn, dude.
I just felt like, I don't know.
There's one that's the ancient language for ruler. That's a better name than Thorn.
Right. You could have even done the ancient language for the word
for Thorn. Yeah, come on, man.
But I'll let it slide.
Thorn.
I'll let it slide.
That's Murtagh's only failing, is he's just a stupid name.
But
anyways.
Yeah, so and then they show up and then they decide to share their true names with each other.
Yeah, Fiernan and Sapphira get busy and Arya and him share their true names for each other.
Right. And it's a really good moment between the two.
Yes. It's also a good moment because it's where
before they can seal anything, Arya's like, how do I know you'll still love me in 10 years, you know? Something that, right?
She doesn't know Eragon's leaving, and Eragon's like, hey, are you sure we can't make this work? And she's like, you're different than you were, but you're
young.
Still human. See if you still care about me in 5 or 10 years, and we'll talk. And then Eragon's like,
it's kind of
about that.
Oh, yikes.
Turns out, probably never gonna see me again.
Well, the thing is, he's also like, because then he tells her that he's leaving.
Yeah.
And then he's all like, you come out whenever, come see me whenever. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Then he tells Naswada he's leaving.
Yep.
And then she's all like, I don't want you to leave. And he's like, I have to.
Yep.
And then he tells Roran, and then everybody figures out.
Yeah.
After Naswada. Roran's mad, but like, not really.
Like, Roran and Katrina like fight him on it, and I'm like, hold up, Roran. You're the one that described him as a god a week ago. What do you mean you're fighting him on this?
The crazy thing is, it's from Eragon's point of view at this point, and it talks about how Roran looks like he's already got gray at his temples.
Like, the wear of the war was serious on him.
Right.
He aged.
Oh, very much so. And he's basically Lord of Palancar Valley at this point.
He does get named an Earl and get given all of Palancar Valley.
Yep. Yeah.
And then
Palancar
just before
Valley
Eragon leaves, he meets up with the elves to show Roran and Katrina what Elismira is like, and rewrite the Blood Oath so that the dwarves and the Urgles can become riders.
Which is amazing.
Yep. 100%.
And
best thing.
That base. Yep. And then they hop on they all head towards the coast.
Yeah, they're heading as far east as they can.
Right, and Oric is all like, I would go with you if I wasn't king. And Roran was like, I would go with you if I wasn't in Palancar Valley. And Arya's like, I would go with you if I wasn't queen. And I was like, man, get rid of all these people, bro.
Aside from he wanted him to go on his own, but I get that he kept like 3 people. Because he keeps Bloodgarm and 2 other people who are like good at talking with dragons, so that they can help work the old Eldunari through their magic.
You know, if you read The Witch and the Worm, eventually, he's settled. It's a year between the end of Inheritance and the beginning of The Witch and the Worm. It's a year, and they got like a whole town. So there's like a bunch of Urgles, there's a bunch of dwarves, there's a bunch of humans, and there's a bunch of elves.
Are they all riders?
No, there's no other dragon.
What the heck?
Yet. For some reason, there hasn't been a dragon born yet. But they're all in this town. It's like a town of all of them. So I think more than just a couple went with him.
It says specifically that only those people were on the boat, the initial boat ride.
Yeah, I guess
he was looking
another
for somewhere
ride.
to hide. Once he chose a place,
later,
he probably brought more people to him. Yeah.
Yeah, because Naswada sends a monthly shipment to him. So I can only assume people hopped on the boat with him and settled. Anyway, but oh, dude, if you like the Urgles, there's a whole chapter in The Witch and the Worm where they give like one of the Urgle parables, and it's really great. You definitely, I guarantee you should read it. You'd like it.
Yeah.
But at like the very end, you know, they're all heading off, and Eragon's like, Arya, stay with me, please. At least till the bend.
Yeah, as far as we can go.
And like, they never even kiss.
Yep.
And that is what I was talking about earlier, Joe. Like, Eragon never gets the girl. And I feel like that's the open-endedness of the book, to where, oh, there's something left unresolved. He can always go back to that later. That's why I don't feel as bad when I finish that series, because it's left unresolved and there's always something he could go back and visit later. Whether it be Eragon and Arya getting together, more about Angela, more about Murtagh up in the north. You know, there's so much left unresolved to where it doesn't feel like it's the end.
Yeah.
It's a good ending for the series, but it's not a definitive end for the world. I definitely like how they never, you know, Eragon and Arya never even kissed or anything. There was definitely something there, because they were saying each other's true names to each other right there at the end. Yeah. But then, like,
they definitely wanted to be together.
Yeah, they want each other and they want to be together, but Arya left before anything could happen. And
it's shown in her true name, because part of her true name is her like undying loyalty to her duty. And as queen, that means that she can't ever leave her people.
Right.
And that means that there's no hope for them. Like, as much as Eragon and her might want it, they both know, knowing her true name, that it's not going to be able to happen.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, not unless somebody else becomes queen.
Because in the first book, the prophecy, and he was cursed like 2 other times throughout the series to leave Allegasia and never return.
Yeah, it's also in the prophecy, yeah.
But in The Fork, the Witch, and the Worm, it just seems like he'll go back. Because they set up this one part where Murtagh, there's a chapter about Murtagh. It's not from Murtagh's point of view, though, which pissed me off. It was from an 11-year-old girl's point of view, but whatever.
Okay.
Where he is attacked by these people up in the north, trying to find out information about this one person, and then he uses magic against somebody, but it has zero effect on this person. And then, like, he finds out about this witch who can, like, cancel out magic, but doesn't know the true name of magic. So she like has power over magic. And then Eragon says something about that. He's like, maybe I should go help Murtagh before it ends the chapter. And then, so it just felt like he's gonna go back to Allegasia. So I don't know how they're gonna get around.
Well, the main landmass that holds the empire is Allegasia.
Right, but he's not
in the north, then that's not Allegasia.
Well, he's gonna go back. If they do write another one, he's got to go back. They're just not like.
Doesn't have to.
I
If the
guess.
threat is somewhere else, he could go somewhere else.
Yeah, true. I don't know.
Good book series. 10 out of 10.
But like, I that was a really good ending. Yeah, it was a really good ending. Inheritance is easily the best book of the series.
Yeah.
The ending was great without closing it off. So like he could revisit it with anything. Honestly, he could revisit it with anything. Yeah, 10 out of 10. Great book series.